Okay, good evening, everyone. Happy Labor Day. I hope you had a chance to relax a little over a long weekend. No sprints. So this week, wanted to talk a little bit about the course name. Um, the university is adjusting this course somewhat, starting I get maybe in the winter, maybe next year. They're adjusting all the courses as we progress and learn and adjust. Um, uh, but the focus will still be on the information systems in the global environment, because truly any large scale enterprise very quickly becomes an international enterprise. So we'll set the scene a little bit during this lecture, and then this week's topic we're gonna dive into the textbook for the course and pick an article and discuss it. Everyone will pick an article. So we'll talk about information systems support to policymaking. Our text is several facets of how information systems can support general purpose policy development. And there's a little bit of reading about the policymaking cycle, which is a lot like a typical maybe waterfall software engineering model where you assess and your need and implement and measure and monitor, and information systems helps to support all of those phases. I'm going to talk about the discussion question and instructions for this week. And because it's never too early in a PhD program to start thinking about your dissertation, we'll talk a little bit about that. And I'll weave that in probably every week. I will have some sort of discussion about dissertation, even if it's very brief. And then we'll conclude and be done. So setting the scene for information systems in a global economy. I just wanted to go out there and get some fresh facts. I mean, I think we all realize just how huge the market is and everything. But I went out and got some figures just to put it in real terms. And if you go to my slides, there are links to a lot of the resources where I found these cool facts in the speaker notes. So please send me an email if you have trouble finding the speaker notes in my attached slides in the content area of week 2. So gross world product. Everybody talks about gross domestic product here in the United States, but the gross world product is $80 trillion in 2017. And that's being generated by a world population of about a little less than 8 billion people now. So there's a lot of activity out there, just a lot of money and a lot of different ways to address that subject. But anyway, huge, and all supported by supply chain management and collaboration software and internet links. Next section here, internet growth. I went out and I look these facts up every now and then to see if they've changed and to remember. But yeah, 0.4% of the world's population had internet access in 1995, and I knew about FTP. I knew there was an internet, but I didn't have internet access until 1995, the summer of '95. Even though I was in college, we just didn't use it, didn't focus on it, didn't study it. But now we have 57% of those 7.7 billion people have internet access in 2019, which makes everything on the internet, e-commerce and social media, that much. Dictionaries, libraries, access to data, credit cards, other purchasing, blockchain technologies, just incredible amount of activity going on the internet. And one thing I like to share with my undergraduate course I teach is a map of the submarine cable. Uh, it's the intercontinental fiber optic network that goes along the seabed. The first time I ever really thought about it, I was snorkeling or scuba diving on one of the islands down in the Caribbean Sea, and I saw a pipe come out, kind of out of the sand underwater, and just trail off into the depths. And I asked the tour guide, the dive master, what was with that pipe, and she said, "Oh, that's the internet. It goes to Curacao, the next island in the chain." So I provided a few links in the speaker notes of this slide to show the connectivity of the globe, and I tried to find some real figures in total growth on the internet, total growth of data on the internet. If you look at every attached server, every attached PC, all the truly huge data centers, the cloud providers and the research centers, um, the archives, the amount the amount of data they're measuring now is in, I think, zettabytes, which it's just incredible. Many of you are in have said that your research interests are in big data and data analysis, and or you're working in big data now. So what a growth industry! No pun intended. The growth of the amount of data is staggering. A there's a drone that the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency is working on. I believe it's called Argos, and it was on I saw it on a Nova special on PBS, and it uses an array of very inexpensive but fairly high resolution um, cell phone cameras in the belly of this orbiting aircraft, and can take a picture of a city in one shot, or it can record what's going on at the scale of a city. And the software, not only is it creating some huge number of terabytes a day, a petabyte a day, I think, of raw video data. The processing software then can go in and identify every single object in the frame using digital image recognition, and say, that this this is a bird flying, this is a person walking, this is a car driving. So the amount of data being developed by these platforms, and all the body cameras being worn by police, and then just the online transactions, the e-commerce transactions, all of the sensors that are attached in the Internet of Things, it's just staggering. So anyway, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm just bringing that up to the forefront to hopefully get everybody charged up to learn more about the global economy, and how our career field supports it. And then international trade, a global economy. I provided some links below. Um, the uh, the the countries that trade have a disproportionately high increase in their own internal gross domestic product. So it's putting some data um, against the hypothesis that trade is good, or free trade is good, or however you care to phrase it or look at it. I'm pretty sure I included some links there too. Um, but it's that it's that international trade in goods and services, and how information systems support that, that really is the heart of this course for now. So okay, so in your book, I need you to scan, read the abstract of each article. That shouldn't take more than 15-20 minutes. Um, and you'll see that those articles they're not really grouped, but they fall loosely into one of three categories, at least as best as I could tell. or one or more of these three categories. And these are the way that information systems are being used to feed policy making decisions. And it's models, simulations, and then informatics or data science, data analysis. There's a lot of different buzzwords in the industry for very similar concepts. So computer models are like right now. There's a hurricane headed toward my home state. I live in Arkansas now, but I'm really from Florida. And every year we get hurricane season, and we have these models that predict the path of the storm. And a computer model is just the the rule set, the math um, that we feed real time data into, and like you'll the first time I think I heard about modeling was maybe a video game. Well, no, I learned about computer models in college um, before I actually had a hands-on exercise, which was like a Sim City video game where it models reality as far as how much investment you put into security versus education versus entertainment, infrastructure, and then rolling into the next bullet here, we have the simulation. So the model is the underlying, how do you want to model reality? For SimCity, maybe they put more importance on the closeness of a school than they do the coverage of police. But you could go in there and you could change that model. You could say, no, 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 no. Police coverage is much more important to the growth of a city or the happiness of the population or whatever than education is. And you can change those values that the algorithms use in the simulation. And the simulation is what puts the model into action, like a flight simulator. A flight simulator, which is I guess the simulator I've got the most experience with. There's driving simulators. There's all kinds of different simulators. Um, is It models a certain type of aircraft. So you put values into the model to say how nimble the aircraft is, what its power to weight is, how much lift it has, and you change the math in that model, and then you use it in action as a simulation. And then informatics is just data science, just using data analysis. I mean, I've read, I don't know, a few definitions of all of these different things, and it all seems to be very similar. Some people will try and write a piece that really plants a flag with a new term, but it's really hard. There's a lot of overlap in a lot of this terminology. So anyway, get into the book, read the abstracts. That way, you'll find the subject of the article. You'll be able to tell what their research methodology was, if they're proposing a new model, if they used a simulation to see the results of a policy that was enacted. Maybe it was simulating a simulated economy, and you change the tax rate. All of those Sim Cities and those video games let you adjust your tax rate as you're the simulated government in those games. And if you tax too heavily, it slows down the economy. People are unhappy. They move away. So we're using all of those kinds of things in the real world as well. So go in and find an article, and then the discussion question for this week is to just talk about one of those articles, and use conversational terms. It's okay to use, I read our textbook and I decided to use this article. I liked it because it was interesting to me because the policy area of, and it could be public policy of taxation or immigration or whatever policy area in those. There's like 20 articles in there. Interested you. So talk to us in class discussion. Provide an overview of the key points, and this is a chance to practice a little bit doing a very short literature review. This is paraphrasing, like I talked about last week. This is putting the article in your own words. Just a brief overview. Uh, some people from the University of such and such created a simulation to see the effect of a change in something on something else. Just they found that too radical of a shift is bad or good or whatever. So just give a brief summary of the article. Tell us why you're interested in it. Um, and then from the policy area. So you'll be talking about the policy area, and then you'll be talking about the information systems support, whether it was informatics, decision science, a simulation, a model, whatever. So talk about those two sections of the article, and then in number 4, just put some thought into what you read and how it could inform your dissertation research project eventually. And at this point, there's no wrong answer. We're just talking and discussing our future plans and how these articles might play into our dissertation. So please cut those 4 bullets, those 4 things into your response, and then put your response below so we can all stay along the same organization. And when we're reading each other's posts, it makes it a whole lot easier and faster to digest what someone's saying when you use headings like we do in an APA paper. Okay, so that's the discussion question. It's already posted as I make this recording at, is it 4 p.m. Central Time on Monday? Okay, so that's the discussion question. I look forward to seeing everyone's responses. We had great discussion in week 1. So I did want to talk a little bit about your dissertations, because it's never too early to start thinking about it. I was able to finish on time because I had good professors and the program at CTU kept it on the front burner all the time, always thinking about the end and keeping the end in mind. And the end is you walking across the stage wearing a TAM instead of a mortarboard and getting your doctorate, your PhD, and moving on with your career. And one of the big things to get to that end goal is to conduct original research and publish the results, and that's your dissertation. So I did want to ask everyone, and I'm asking rhetorically because no one's online with me right now, but if you haven't chosen bibliographic software and you are undecided or you just want to talk it over, shoot me an email. I don't know anything but EndNote. And everything I know about EndNote, you can learn by downloading it and going to YouTube and getting started with it. But I can help a little bit with EndNote. RefWorks is another one that folks use, and I'm told, I'm not an expert, but I'm told there's a free version of RefWorks. But either way, I cannot overstate how important bibliographic software will be as you progress through these courses. Another thing I would like for you to do when you get a chance is go on to the university website, the library. I think it's under academic links, under academics, and then there's library. And there's a list of databases you can go through. The one that you will be, I'm sure, familiar with soon, if you're not already, is the ProQuest, and the university uses just dissertations and theses database. When you drop down that list, it'll just say dissertations and theses. And that is where you can go find your thesis from your master's degree. If you had a master's degree with a thesis, it's where you can find my dissertation, and more importantly, you can find other dissertations that are along that align with your research goals, and your topic, and you can start reading them, start browsing them, and look for how people outline their research question, their problem statement, and the purpose of their research. And we will talk more about that in week 6, which will be, I believe, just before, not too long before our get together in Dallas. Another link here, if you go out and Google the Purdue OWL, if you haven't used it already, APA format information is all over the internet. There's any number, but the folks at Purdue have the online writing laboratory, have really created a great research or a great reference for formatting. I'm not too much of a stickler for APA format, but you need to get used to it. How the citations work. There's 2 formats for the citation, where the year is inside the parentheses with the author, and then author with the year in the parentheses. There's 2 ways to use that, and get used to your references being highlighted the right way on a separate page, and indenting your paragraphs and not numbering your paragraphs. All those little things that make APA format, double spacing. So the final thing I wanted to make sure I brought up was to provide the opportunity to link your coursework to your dissertation. The sooner that you narrow in on a research area, a problem area, if nothing else, the more you'll be able to use classwork to support that research area. And so you'll be gathering resources and gathering articles in your bibliographic software that are going to help you get to your end goal. And I think most professors will help you and go with you as far as shaping your approach to a paper that supports your dissertation, especially if you check with them first. So I would look for opportunities anytime you can to link coursework to your dissertation, so that you're writing new, fresh, original content that that will feed into your dissertation at some point. All right. So short lecture tonight, but I'm sure we'll have a robust discussion. Week 1 discussion was collegial and original. Everyone seemed to have great things to post about. The longer posts were the better posts. I will encourage you to write more. Please, if we could all see your original responses by Thursday and replies by Saturday. I highlight that rhythm in the syllabus. For the week 2 discussion, I'd like to maintain the conversational, professional tone. And as we approach week 2, it's going to be tempting for some to cut and paste information, cut and paste text into their response, either their initial response or their replies to fellow students. So I want to encourage you to, under no circumstances, for any reason, not even to do a direct quote, don't put anyone else's words in your response. Everything you type should be off the cuff, as it were, in your own words, placed in your own context, and a matter of your own thoughts and experience. Hopefully, if we get through the next couple of weeks and I don't see any of this kind of cut and paste, and you don't see any cutting and pasting, I can stop worrying about it and everything will be fine. One thing to look out for: please do not respond to your fellow students out of context. I've seen many discussion posts where someone says, thank you very much. That was a great post. You're obviously an expert in your field. What I want to add here is some more information. And then all too often, It's just something from the textbook or something from the internet, and change the words around a little bit. And it's not in context. It's not original. It's insulting. If someone does that to you, I would ask you to professionally challenge their writing style. Um, in this classroom, it's fairly low threat for us to keep each other honest and keep each other hardworking and keep each other original and focused on writing towards each other's posts. If you get to the point where you're writing your dissertation and there's any sort of things that are just kind of put in there out of context to fill a square, to fill space, or you write something that isn't original, or it's reworded and it looks a lot like somebody else's article, you'll get called on it, and it'll be pretty bad. So I really, really hope to see all kinds of good original discussion this week. This is the last back-to-back week where we have discussions. We'll start writing short papers and other things as we move through the course, and particularly on that residence weekend. That's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be worth it. So I wish you all a happy short work week, and I'll see you again next week.